don't ride for nobody, no badge, no crew. Truth don't play favors, it just come through. I don't take sides, I take time and review. So to put it, let the context break through. If you clean, that stamp stay true.
A cop is seen on camera entering a house that ain't his, that he has no right entering, and ends up killing the family dog. Again, I'm gonna tell you now that you're gonna probably be triggered if you got fur babies. I got fur babies, and I think you know what fur babies are. In case for y'all don't know what the fur baby is, it's your pet. And if your pet is like part of your family, and you know that you love on your pet all the time, your dog got a personality, your cat got a personality, fur baby, and you can tell everybody this is my other child, fur baby. These people's fur baby was in the house by herself as a girl dog, and this cop walks in unannounced, uninvited, and ends the dog's life. Now, the case took on some notoriety over time, and an individual by the name of the civil rights lawyer got wind of it, and his breakdown about the case is what we're going to be looking at today, because he does show the body cam, and I will be giving you an update about the situation here at the end, near the end of his video. Here we go.
Sheriff's office, make yourself known. Door was open, lights were on. I knocked, no response.
A cop walks up to the front door of a family's home.
Hey, anybody home?
Nobody answers the door, so he just lets himself in.
Hey, anybody home? Sheriff's office.
And he begins to have a look around. About a minute later, shots ring out. He just shot the family dog. The husband was at work. The wife was out of town. Their 4 children were at school. The only family member who was home was Zelda, the family's beloved Belgian Malinois, who was being a good girl, protecting her home from armed intruders.
See, that dog is a big dog, and it came right at me, right around this corner.
Then the cop walks back outside. Does he call this family to tell them what had just happened? No. He calls more cops. And then basically an army of police officers arrives at this home in this quiet neighborhood, and they begin to circle the wagons. They then proceed to go all through this family's home, garage and backyard for a period of about 40 minutes, all without even notifying this family or obtaining their permission to do so. Oh, and also without a warrant, not a warrant in sight.
Now, just so you know, there are times that might be a case, but there is also probable cause. You will find out here pretty soon that not even that was even a matter of consideration for this particular officer. And you'll also find out some very important things about the officer as well. That he is a piece of walking trash. But that's just me. That's just my opinion. I had to throw it in there before I get too heated, because it is going to get me heated once you hear how this thing transpired and the things that he did. All right. I got, again, fur babies. I have steak. I have dog in this fight. No pun intended.
You good? Yeah, I'm shaking up because
I'm sure you are.
Bro, just take your car. You're good.
Oh,
surely
please.
they made this right with the family, right? They apologized, compensated them in some way, and surely they fired this officer and prosecuted him for illegally entering this home and killing this dog? Nope, they did not.
We've been sad. There's constant memories of her all through our house.
Tonight, a Wake County deputy is returning to work after shooting and killing a family's dog. We are hearing from the dog's owner after the sheriff's office concluded their investigation.
Tonight, the family is really disgusted. They are devastated and outraged just to know that deputy will be returning to work here at the Wake County Sheriff's Office.
Welcome back to the Civil Rights Lawyer channel, where we don't just let the government investigate itself and gaslight the public. So here, we started with the ending. The government has investigated itself, and this was the result.
The Wake County Sheriff's Office released this statement in part following a thorough review of the surrounding circumstances, and after notifying the family of this decision, we have determined that the deputy involved will remain employed. The Wake County Sheriff's Office remains committed to moving forward responsibly and in service to our community.
Except there's one problem there, guys. You didn't serve the community. The community was harmed by one of your officers, and you kept him, and you investigated it, and you had camera that proved to you that what he said to you didn't happen, but you still kept him there. All right.
And Zelda's family says they only wanted to see justice served.
I would love to know that there were consequences that he would have faced.
The family here obviously found this to be unacceptable, and they have provided me with all of the evidence in this case, and I'll show it to you, and you can form your own opinion. So let's go through it. This is Deputy Darris with the Wake County Sheriff's Office. On April 8th of 2025 at about 10:30 a.m., Deputy Darris arrived at the doorstep of the Briggs family in order to serve some civil process. That just means that it's some sort of paperwork pursuant to a civil proceeding in court. It's not criminal. It's not a warrant. It's nothing at all that entitles Deputy Darris to enter the Briggs home.
Please keep that in mind, because that's going to come in quite important later. Now, it's not like he's trying to serve a warrant for an arrest or have them have a piece. Even if it was a piece of paper they needed to sign, they needed to sign it. Then you don't just walk into someone's house to get them to do it. Remember, civil. Remember, no warrant to enter. Remember, no probable cause. None of those things exist. So there's no violation possibility legally to the fourth. I'm just saying. So now you know. Okay, continue.
Just like anyone else, just like a Girl Scout, he's walking up to the home and he's knocking on the door. That's how it starts.
Hey, anybody home? Hello? Sheriff's office, anybody home?
Now, I have his police report, and this is what he writes. Upon approaching the home's front door, I could see the inner wood door was open. It was open at approximately 30 to 45 degrees, and the interior of the home was very clearly visible. I pulled back on the storm door and called out for anyone inside the residence, requesting if anyone was home to make themselves known and identifying myself as a sheriff's deputy. I heard no response during this time.
Now, he's going to point something out, but I'm going to point something out before he points it out, because I see something that's already a blatant lie. Now, again, I've done my fair share of things in terms of jobs. And one of the things of my job that I did was camera work. I did that. I also did some slight construction stuff. But you know what else I also have? It's just a little thing called common sense. He said 45 degrees. Now, if you're looking at a door, okay, we're just gonna looking at it. Say this is the top. You know, you're looking at it an aerial view. The 45 degree would have been about that. Okay, so he's telling you that the door was open about that much. But if you watch how he knocked, he didn't lean into an open door that much. Secondarily, if the door is open and the storm door is already closed, maybe knock on the storm door, because now they can hear you at a 45 degree open door. If the door is open, hear me out, just knock on the storm door. Logic. Again, that's all I have, is just a simple case of logic. I just have logic. Some people have logic phobia. He seems to be one of them.
So nobody had called for help at this house. There was no call for service. Deputy Darris had just decided that he was going to go to the front door of that house that day to try to serve this paperwork that he was being paid to serve by some party to some sort of civil litigation. He was not supposed to go inside that house. But when he gets there, he says that the interior wood door was open. We can see that the exterior storm door was closed, but we can't directly see the interior door. However, I do have the footage of the father in this family, Paul, leaving the house earlier that morning. And while we cannot see the door close, it sure sounds like that interior door is closing. So going back to Deputy Darris, he's standing there at the front door. He opens the storm door, and not hearing any response at all at that point, what does Deputy Darris do? He pulls out his pistol. At that point, the family cat makes a run for it and darts inside the house. He then radios dispatch that the home he's at has an open front door, but he doesn't need any backup from any other officers. No big deal, right?
Wait, 564, open door.
Here's what I think happened. I'm going to back this up real quick, but I want y'all to listen to something as he pulls and he sets his gun up. Okay, why?
Front door. He opens the storm door, and not hearing any response at all at that point, what does Deputy Darris do? He pulls out his pistol. At that point, the family cat makes a run for it and darts inside the house.
I think that's when he opened the door. I don't think the door was abrupt ajar at all. That's just me. You'd open a door as hard as he did, the door would open even more. All right.
He then radios dispatch that the home he's at has an open front door, but he doesn't need any backup from any other officers. No big deal, right?
Wait, 564, open door at my call. No need for any additional at this time, I'll advise.
Then he once again announces who he is. He hears no response.
Hey, anybody home?
So what does he do? He goes inside the house.
Sheriff's office?
I don't need any backup to enter a home where I don't hear any noise. Hear me out. You feel the need here, please, logic. You don't need backup, but you decide to prep your gun to walk into a house, but you don't need backup. You're going to wait till a shootout happens, maybe. You see, it's cops like this that gives good cops bad names. The entire force needs to go, by the way. I just want you to know that. Y'all hear the barking too, by the way? I want you to make sure I put this out to you. Hear the barking. Please listen for the barking.
From the instant he walks in the door, you can hear the dog barking, right? You hear that.
Sheriff's office?
But that deputy would later tell his supervisor at the scene, which was also captured on this home's cameras, that when he entered the house, he did not hear the dog barking.
Did you hear the dog at all when you came in? Did you hear it?
I did not.
You didn't bark?
Completely quiet. No barking.
Okay.
No
Now,
barking.
when I got to the hallway, that's what made me notice him was he did then bark. So I started to back out, and that's when he came out.
He just came in.
Oh.
However,
He didn't hear no barking at all. He just walked in and the dog just popped out of nowhere. Poof! Like Eeyore or something. Thanks for noticing me. And it's pop, pop, pop. All right, cool.
we know that that is false based on this video evidence.
Sheriff's office?
And actually, we hear the dog barking pretty much the entire time that the deputy can be heard walking through the house, searching the house.
Mhm.
The whole time we hear the dog barking until all of a sudden shots ring out.
Sheriff's office, anybody home?
Did you hear the dog at all when you came in? Did you hear it?
I did not.
You didn't bark?
Completely quiet. No barking.
Okay.
No barking. What it sounds like, the dog giving him plenty of time to get out the house. Don't you sound like that dog was a very patient dog? That's one of the most patient dogs I have ever heard. I'll bark from the time I hear you knock. I hear you talking in my house. I will keep telling you I'm here. Leave, bro. You're in my house. If you don't leave, I'm gonna leave my house. Get out, get out, get out, get out. I can't hear nothing. Why are you in the people's house? You're not even there to serve them anything that requires you in there. So why are you in there? I couldn't wish for a gun to jam so badly in my life. What? Man, look. If it's one incident where that gun jamming would have been the most poetic justice thing ever, this would have been it. The goodest girl would have gotten all kinds of steak and eggs and broccoli, whatever she wanted, she'd have got from me. Yeah. Oh, what? Treat you like the goodest girl. A bed. You could sleep on our bed. I'll give you a whole bedroom. I'll build a new bedroom just for you, baby. It's yours.
Then after the shots are fired, and this is pretty bizarre, there's just basically silence. For somewhat of an extended period of time, nothing. It's just silence and silence and silence. And then out of nowhere, the deputy announces, for some reason, sheriff's department, after he's already fired multiple rounds inside this home.
Sheriff's office, anyone home?
And thankfully, nobody was home, but he was not done yet. So at this point, he goes outside.
Calmly.
Damn it, son.
He holsters his gun, but not for long. He walks around into the backyard and basically searches the backyard and then the garage again at gunpoint.
For
Thankfully, there were no more dogs
Don't even know.
for him to shoot. He then reappears back out the front door of the home, announcing to dispatch that all is clear, that the house is secure. And in the distance, we can hear the sirens and the cavalry is on the way because they hear that there's the shooting inside this house. So everyone is showing up.
Wait, 564. Looks like the home is secure. The lights are on.
As a bunch of other police officers arrive at the scene, Deputy Darris then walks them back up to the front door of the house, and he's telling them what had happened. And then, as you'll see, all of these officers, along with the same one who just shot the dog, they all then go into this family's home.
Let's see, that dog is a big dog, and it came right at me. Right around
Yeah,
this
I'm sure
corner.
it came right at you, buddy.
It scared the shit out of me. Sheriff's office!
You just said the house was clear. You just... I am too glad the kids were not there. I really am, because he probably would have shot the kids too. I thought there was midgets, Yana. I thought there was midgets, and they was gonna come at me with a bag of gold and bust my shins open. That's what I thought. Some people shouldn't have this career. Some people should never have this career. You just walking through people's house for no damn reason. Just going through it. Because you can. Don't even know what they're looking for. They're just looking.
Sheriff's office, make yourself known!
There's the doggy. Looked like doggy was just on his little bed. You know, she's on her bed just chilling. Shot the dog right next to its bed. That's crazy.
Sheriff's office, make yourself known! I think it's clear. Yeah. There's a couple of cats. I tried to keep the door shut so they won't get out.
You're not going to shoot the cats. Cats are dangerous, you know. You ever been bit by a cat? I have. Not pretty.
Why'd you come in the first place? Was the door open? Door was open. Lights were on. I knocked. No response. And the door wasn't just like propped. It was open. Like
Watch.
probably about 45, maybe a little bit less. Right there. It's dead.
By the way, I just want to point out as they walk through the laundry room of this house, just to illustrate the absurdity of the claim that these officers thought that this home had been burglarized. Apparently, the burglar who had burglarized this house had decided to do this family's laundry while he was in there, despite the vicious dog. That's right. You can actually hear the laundry machines going. So basically, the inside of this house looks like any home in suburbia with kids and at least one parent who actually does laundry.
That's wild.
came out. You okay? Yeah, I'm good.
And then the cops have this sort of group meeting on the front porch. And you can see in their eyes and in their voices, they all know that this was not a good shoot, that this guy should not have been in the house to have a confrontation with this dog. And so you can almost see them formulating a plan to cover their own asses, literally right there on the spot. For instance, one of the cops says, yeah, the inside of the house does look kind of disheveled. I mean, go back and look at the footage of them walking through the house on their own body cams. For a house with 4 kids, that house is not disheveled. And even if it were disheveled, it looks absolutely nothing like the scene of a home invasion that is actively occurring so that the cops have to race in, guns drawn.
Now, hear me out. I got kids. If y'all got kids at all, small ones, even if you got dogs. I mean, if you have anything to do with children, if you got boys, I'll tell you this about boys. I think they're born innately not knowing what hygiene is. I'm sorry. I'm an anomaly to it because I always hated this. I rarely smell, but when I did, shower. If you have kids, you understand that having a clean house, you better be on it, man. You look, if you're not on it, woo, it will look like a war zone after a while. That house, kudos to both husband, children, and wife. Y'all are on it. Kudos. They know nothing about that house says burglary. Not even the open door with it. Nothing at all.
Absolutely laughable, and they know it.
Yeah, I don't think he broke skin, but he got me a little bit there. Yeah, I was like,
it didn't break skin, so you're not going to get a shot from you.
He came at me so fucking quick, though. That's why I was like, in hindsight, I don't know if it was a break. I haven't even been able to look.
The house was just kind of a shot.
That's how it was. The doors open. That was me. But some of them were open when I got here.
Nobody's home though?
We cleared it. No. I haven't touched the lights.
You check that back shed yet?
Yeah, we can go take a look real quick, but just this one.
So now they all go into the backyard to search the backyard and to search the garage at gunpoint. And what has not happened here? Who is not there on the porch? Who are they not communicating with? The homeowners of the house.
At all.
The deputy who was the shooter obviously knew who lived at the house. He was there to serve them with paperwork. The husband is at work. The wife's not there. The kids are at school. Why aren't they communicating with them before they go into that house, before they go into the backyard, before they go into the garage, pointing their guns at whatever is there? Okay, well, maybe this is a crime scene. Okay, what was the crime and who committed it? Oh, but they're not done yet. After they get done milling around in the backyard of this home with their firearms, even more cops now head into this family's home with them completely absent, no communication, just traipsing around the place like they own it, searching the home.
Hold on. You ever seen those cartoons with the clown cars? That's what I feel is happening here. Now I got to count. I got to count how many of these mofos just walking in the house. Let's count. Let's do a head count, shall we? Let's find out.
Done milling around in the backyard of this home with their firearms. Even more cops now head into this family's home with them completely absent, no communication, just traipsing around the place like they own it, searching the home.
6, 7 officers.
And then after they are inside this family's home for about 10 minutes doing God knows what, while at least some of them have body cams turned off from what I can tell. I haven't seen any body cam footage of what they were doing inside that home during this approximate 10-minute period. Then a guy who appears to be a supervisor shows up. This was caught on surveillance cam, not body cam. The supervisor shows up and he asks the shooter what happened. And now yet again, the shooter gives his explanation for what happened. And as I already showed you before, includes at least one lie about allegedly not hearing the dog bark when we know that he did.
All right, so tell me what happened, buddy.
I got you. So I came up for a civil process, initially knocked on the door. It was already propped a bit, the inner door. And
this is the front door or side door?
Yeah,
front door.
Yeah.
Okay.
And when I called out, nobody answered. Called out again, nobody answered. So I jumped on the radio, let them know I had an open door at my call. And there's some cats in there. So
That's not what happened at all. Right off the rip, lie. First of all, you called and you said you don't need any backup at this moment. You did say the open door, but you did say you need no backup. And never said that. They never mentioned no cats or no damn thing like that. You didn't mention cats until way after. People were there. Stop lying. And how they did an investigation is beyond me. Like, I don't even know what they mean by investigation. Oh, we asked him 2 questions and he answered affirmative and the case is closed. Tweedledee, Tweedledum, and Tweedlestupid, all 3 of them standing right here. I say the family should sue the entire department, every last one that came into that house, unwarranted, without reaching out. Sue all of them individually for as much as you can. Sue them. Sue them.
Came in, I shut the door behind me, the glass one, not the
main door.
Not the main door. Called out as I kept going through the house. I saw lights. None of the lights have been touched. They've all been either left on or how they were when I got here. There were some doors that were already open, some of them were not. So initially I'm thinking stuff was kind of in weird areas. Uncapped, it kind of made me think a break-in. When I was coming through this laundry room, I got to hear, and the dog was just on the other side of the island, and I started to back out. He came right at me. I put my leg out like this. That's when he bit me, and I had to, unfortunately, shoot it.
Okay.
Notice that he can't look his supervisor in the eye because he lying. This man didn't do none of them things. None of none. Hear me out. You suspect a break-in. Where would be the first place you would check considering the door is open? Please hear me out. I'm not a cop, but I'm not stupid neither. I'm not a moron. I'm not retarded. I know some things. Hear me out. You come to the door. The door is open. You think in your mind, burglary. Do you check to see if there's any damage to said door? Foot marks on the door? Dents? Busted out hinge? A busted out lock? Busted out anything? No, you don't look for that. You just walk in, and you're so stupid, you close the door behind you, so in case you got to run, you got to bust through glass and cut yourself up. If you went through training, you failed at every aspect of entry and exit. Besides which, you look like a cat could beat your ass. You look like a cat could whoop you. Like you would not be able to handle yourself in no kind of combat situation, bro. It looked like you decided that you wanted to be a cop so you could have a gun and you could power trip on everybody. That's what you look like. And from how you talk, just your way, your mannerisms alone is pissing me off. Just how you talk upsetting me. Like you lie. Like one of them, you're Men in Black. You remember the Men in Black with the first one with the roach looking things? That's what he reminded me of. How these people get a job in this particular? I really don't know what you have to do anymore to become a cop. You obviously don't need critical thinking skills because you didn't implement none of that. You don't need basic survival awareness. You don't even need that because you can obviously hear a dog. If I hear a dog, hear me out. I hear a dog, I'm closing that door, calling for backup, and I'm waiting. Yeah, it's a dog. Now, I'm not intending myself to get one bit, and especially if it might be more than one. Hell no. Close the door in. Hey, dispatch, whoopity-whoopity-whoop, hear me out. Break in at this house. Dogs are present. Bring K9 units. All y'all show up. Let's go. Let's go in. He didn't do none of that. Basic survival you don't even got.
Not being around shut.
As many as it was to stop the threat.
Okay.
But after I confirmed that, I immediately jumped on the radio, let them know, and then called for EMS. I didn't check at that time, so I didn't know how bad it was. Continued to clear the house. Once I had cleared out here, I was listening to the radio heading back. I spoke to a woman who I guess lives in the area over here. I didn't get her contact info. I asked if she knew who the owners were.
When did you see him do that? When did you see him do that? You know, You could do all that, but you can't call the owner to find out what was going on. Hear me out. Again, you go to if this say you did do it, say you went to the neighbor to find out. You couldn't call the number on the paperwork you had to say, hey, I think your house might be broken into. Is there anybody in the house that I should be worried about? Somebody invalid, somebody bedbound? Should I be looking for people so I know that if I have at least 2 people in the house, I shouldn't see 3? None, that didn't cross your mind. None of that. No? Okay, then I stand on what I say. Tweedledum. That's what I'm going to stand on that one then.
Same day. And she said she did not know how long they'd been gone, who they were. She lives over there.
She doesn't know who her. Bro.
So as soon as I set the paper down, I came back over here to clear this shed. After I cleared that shed, I came back out, and then I came to the front and waited for everybody else to show up.
Lies again, because he came into the back of the house, through the house, out through the front door. So he went through the house twice. So he lying on camera, profusely lying on camera. That's wild.
So you were inside the house when I was running? Okay. All right.
In that short hall.
Okay. And did you hear the dog at all when you came in? Did you hear it?
I did not.
You didn't
It was
bark?
completely quiet.
Oh,
No
really?
barking.
Okay. All right.
Now, when I got to the hallway, that's what made me notice him, was he did then bark. And so I started to back out, and that's when he came out.
He just came at you.
The law here is pretty simple. Without valid consent or exigent circumstances, a police officer may not cross the threshold of a residence without a warrant. Here, the officer was at the front door to serve civil service paperwork that did not authorize him to enter the home. He had no warrant to enter the home. He did not have consent, as nobody answered the door. And as far as he knew, nobody was home. The only possible justification for his entry is the existence of exigent circumstances. And that would be a belief that there is some emergency occurring inside. And here, the story that they came up with is that the officer believed that there had been a home invasion or a home invasion in progress. And pretty much the only evidence they're putting forward for this is the allegation that the door was at least slightly open. Not the actual outside door, but the door within that. The video evidence, unfortunately, doesn't show us conclusively whether or not that is true. Now, had the officer who was the shooter been wearing a body cam, we would know for a fact whether or not that was accurate. But for some reason, he was not wearing a body cam. So that evidence does not exist. Other than the allegation that the door was slightly open, I don't see any other evidence that would cause a reasonable belief that there is some emergency occurring inside the house. It can't be the case that anytime we have our storm door closed on our homes and the inside door open or slightly open, that the government can just walk on in to our house, firearms drawn, and do whatever they want, including shoot our dog. Absolutely not. There would have to be additional facts, such as a call for service. Somebody had reported something. The sound of screaming, somebody calling for help, something like that. None of that exists here. The alleged justification doesn't even pass the laugh test. It's completely absurd. And the more absurd thing is that, okay, even after that happened, did they do the right thing? No. Did they notify the homeowners and get consent to remain on the property, to go inside the house, to search it, to do whatever they were doing? No, they didn't do that. Instead, for 40 plus minutes, they excluded the homeowners and they treated this property as if it were their own. They completely spat on the Fourth Amendment rights, on the property rights of these homeowners. They illegally searched this house and entered this house multiple times with no justification. With 40 plus minutes, they had plenty of time, even if they didn't want to contact the homeowners for some reason, to get a warrant to enter. They did not do so. They completely disregarded constitutional rights here. And they didn't release their internal investigation, but they did release the results, which were that they allowed this deputy to come back to work. This is just despicable. But
now hear me out. There's an update. The update is this. Well, let me see if he gives the update. He might.
I'm just showing you the evidence here. You can form your own conclusion. And please let me know in a comment what that conclusion is.
Okay, cool. So he doesn't. Now hear me out. Since he made this video, it went super viral to the tune of 1.5 million and above, right? People saw it, including news outlets in the same city. Those news outlets got a hold of this young man. He's probably not young, but it could be beards make you look older than you really are. So they got the hold of the man and interviewed him about what he knew. Well, since that point, the people who watched the video reached out to the police department and bombarded them with complaints and complaints and complaints and complaints to the point where they had to respond. Ironically, the individual in the case, that particular officer, is no longer with the force. Now, they never said they fired him. They just said he left. He left. Now, understand this. If you know for a fact that something was wrong, there'd be no reason for him to leave, regardless of how many people bombarded. If you said you did the internal research and nothing was wrong, but you're lying. This is why I think that the particular family needs to go after not just the police department. I do think the police department should be held responsible too for not compensating and for doing what they did and allowing it to be done. But they also need to find that guy and sue him personally for all the crap that he did to their dog. I think there should be a mad lawsuit on him for illegal entry, illegal searching, and the murder of their pet, as I would call them, their fur baby. She didn't deserve that. She was doing what she was supposed to do. She's hired, using herself there to save the family from evil men. And one crazy dude walked into her house and she was trying to take care of business. Unfortunately, the crazy man won. Thankfully, he's no longer with the force, and I hope he never serves in another police department ever for the rest of his life. People like him don't deserve to have a weapon. They don't deserve to have authority because they don't know how to use it. He deserves a whole lot more, and I hope he gets it. I hope the family pursues every avenue of justification that they can find to bring him and what he did to the table so he can pay the price, whether that be monetarily or jail time if needed. And same for the police department to possibly flush out all the corruption that's in there. Maybe this case might be the catalyst to clear that place out of all the cisterns and the cesspools and the crap that's in there. Because it sounds like it goes all the way to the head with this rotten fish. Condolences to the family for their fur baby being lost, because I know the kids must have probably loved that little girl. Lesson learned? Unfortunately, a rough way. And unfortunately for most people, this particular outfit will make a very bad stain on the badge, which it behooves the rest of the good cops out there to do more good to try and override a lot of this crap. See something bad, report it, rat, snitch, tell. If your coworker is doing something illegal, snitch. Doing something stupid, snitch, record. Because your integrity depends on it. And the people around you are depending on you to protect them, not to abuse them. Take the badge and the oath seriously.
One wrong move turn the present into the past. I don't ride for nobody, no badge, no crew. Truth don't play favorites, it just come through. I don't take sides, I take time and review. So to put it, let the context break through. If you clean, that stamp stay true. If you foul, that show up too. No miss, no spin, no cover up hype. Everything judge in plain sight.